This show is brought to you by Fit Challenge. Fit Challenge is a staple of the New England OCR scene and many people's favourite event, full stop. They hold 2 obstacle course races a year and a trail series. They have 3 more of those in 2016 alone. With open waves that go off all day, competitive waves in the morning, and multiple laps available if you want to push yourself, Fit Challenge provides something for everyone. The next race is October 26th, the obstacle course race is November 19th, and check out fitchallenge.org for more information. We're live.
Okay.
We are recording.
Let's do it.
We will do it. So if you're watching on Facebook Live, we can't see you, but you can watch in while we record the show. So thank you for coming out, Lauren.
Thanks for having me.
So for those who are listening on the audio-only version later on, we have Lauren Casavant out today. So Lauren is, let's see, you own PursuEVENTures.
Yep. You've
done a bunch of racing of your own. You do a lot of local sponsorship. Well, have local sponsors sponsor your racing, right?
Yeah.
And what else am I missing? Other stuff?
I do a lot of volunteer work with a couple other local community-based
that's right. Yep.
programming here in the city.
And what we're going to do is we're going to sit down today and figure out why you're in OCR, what it is about OCR, and then what you've got coming up.
Perfect.
Sound good?
Easy.
So, what were you doing before you got into OCR? Like, OCR kicked off in 2010. When did you get into OCR?
I got into OCR in 2013. So not long ago.
Okay.
Yeah,
all
I
right.
was late to the
Huh,
game.
okay.
I was pretty late.
So what were you doing before? What got you here?
I think a change in fitness got me here. So
Yeah.
I've always worked in gyms. I've always done racing. I transitioned from road racing to triathlon.
Okay.
So always just looking for the next thing.
Yeah.
Friends, group stuff. We got into group running, group training.
Now,
OCR.
did you ever do anything competitively, like tries or marathon running competitively?
No, not really. Marathon's
Just
definitely
enthusiast.
not. Yeah, enthusiastic.
Yeah.
But I think it's just the team aspect.
Yeah.
It was that togetherness, different feel, even though you're running for yourself, you're not alone.
Yeah.
So that was pretty interesting.
So you got into OCRs with what race? Tough Mudder, Spartan?
I ended up starting with a Tough Mudder out in Southern California. So
Oh, wow. That's a big difference.
Yeah, so I went to school in Arizona for college.
Okay.
So to go back and visit college mates, one of the things was pick something that
we're going to go do a Tough Mudder.
Yeah. So I got invited out. I got invited by some people who were 100% on board with OCR, and I had no idea what I was getting into.
What kind of terrain did they have out there?
So we were on Big Bear, so it had that 12,000 foot elevation peak.
All right.
It's pretty similar to
So that was a good one to start with.
It was great. I came off of that. I think I came home. I signed up for Spartan Beast on Killington. I don't think it was more than a month after, and I tackled it. Literally drove up Friday night.
Yeah.
Slept in my Jeep. Got up. Went to the race venue.
Now, did you go solo? Did you know anyone?
Nope.
So completely solo,
Yep.
2013 kill. I'm trying to remember which one that was. Was that the year the Ultra Beast was 2 lap? It was a long race?
A long race.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, we were all there.
So, showed up by myself, ran it, didn't have any idea what to expect.
Surprise.
Yeah, came off of it, high as all could be, and then it all started from there.
So how did those two compare? So you've got a mountainous, Tough Mudder, and then Killington, which is Spartan's like creme de la creme of races, right?
Right.
How did they compare for your first year, your first 2 experiences?
I don't think there was any comparison. I think for one, it was the Tough Mudder is so different.
Yeah.
The mentality is different. You get this different feel even when you're just running.
Yeah.
Like you feel like, I don't want to say the word fun, but it's fun.
Did you do Tough Mudder with a group that was out there just for the laughs and for
They were on the competitive side.
Okay, all right.
They were a gym-based group on that competitive side of things.
Okay.
But going to Spartan gave me a little bit more of a focus that it could be something to get better at.
Even if you go to a Tough Mudder and feel like you're running competitively, you're never actually doing it competitively. Right. Interesting. So it's funny that you did 2 mountainous races, including Killington, and then didn't just jack the whole thing in. And did you carry on doing road running and tries, or was it like a hard switch? Holy shit, this is my thing.
Yep.
I love this. I'm in.
That was it. Okay. So I think, I checked the results after Killington. I waited. Yeah. I just
where'd I place? Who'd I beat?
Where was it? I didn't know anybody. I didn't know anything. I just knew myself, and I was like, oh, I want to know. And I think overall I placed 4th.
Wow.
I signed up for the Rugged Maniac the next weekend. I showed up, my legs were still sore. And
I ran that same Rugged Maniac. Or should I say, I kind of hobbled the whole thing. Yeah.
Right? So I thought I was going to hobble the whole thing, and then I ended up winning that Rugged Maniac. So, it just switched everything over for me.
So now you've kind of got the bug, you're into OCR, and you're running competitively. You've kind of found, hey, holy shit, I'm quite good at this.
Yep.
Did you start traveling? Did you do like the Spartan competitive tour? Because I believe you traveled to a whole bunch one year. Was that
last year?
Last 2015?
Yep. 2015 was my year of travel.
Yeah.
So we did Hawaii last year. We tried a bunch of different places. I tried this year to get a little bit into the travel. It just didn't work out, but it pays off to see other people.
Yep.
And to see the same people. Yep. It's a lot of fun.
Well, I think this is, for as much criticism as Spartan come into, the community side is where they've excelled. They've built this community of everyone from competitive, elite, pro, whatever you want to call it, but the competitive people, when they travel, they're meeting the same people every weekend or every other weekend.
It makes you feel good to do that. Yeah. You don't like to show up alone once you realize that there's a community there.
Yeah. So now, professionally, obviously now we'll talk a bit about how you got into owning a business in OCR, but what were you doing kind of professionally before? Like, how did you pay the bills before you got into owning this thing? Because you're a trainer, right?
Yep, I'm a trainer. So personal training, group fitness, coaching, all of the above.
Yeah, and you still do that?
I still do that. I love it. Yeah. We're hoping to transition over the company that we've got, and we're looking to do a base facility in 2017 and doing the same idea.
Okay.
I'm trying to stay away from specialized, although I do love OCR. I love all the other stuff going on. We make great references to a lot of things happening, and I'd like to have a home base where we can get more people into that. Yep. Whether they decide OCR or road racing or tries, we have a little bit of a background in everything.
Okay. So that's pretty exciting.
I think so.
That's also a huge step.
It's huge. It's huge. But we after our success of the first event, I think we kind of jumped right in. Yeah. So I'm ready.
So the Wachusett event was in July
10th.
July 10th.
Yep.
So that was PursuEVENture, which is your own business, or do you own it with a group of people?
So we started a non-for-profit is what we did. So PursuEVEntures itself is a non-for-profit.
Okay, so I didn't realize that.
Yeah, so we did a community-based program where if you did make it to the event, you could see that we brought in other local facilities to facilitate what they're doing for kids, for families. Yeah. As we travel around the area and do more events, we'll do the same thing. We're trying to create a community where you might really like the event, but maybe you're looking where you could do that somewhere else.
So this is something obviously we focus on with Race Local and with focusing on locally owned businesses, whether that's an obstacle course company like a Fit Challenge or Rec Bag or Zubells, they make kettlebells out of Orange and Worcester, all these different locally owned companies. So we brought our son Minnie over to your race, and you had CrossFit Wachusett, you had Nick from, I forget Nick's yoga company.
The Yoga Tree.
The
Gardner,
Yoga Tree, yeah. So actually, funny story, Nick does kids-based Star Wars yoga.
Awesome.
And if you look at his promotional photos for it, they were shot right outside that window with Minnie. We got some yoga mats and some lightsabers and brought the cameras out, and we were taking Star Wars yoga photos.
Nick's a killer.
Nick's
awesome. So great.
Yeah. And so you got all these locally owned businesses, and that was such a huge hit for us as adults, but the kids love that race.
That's great.
So tell us a bit about that first race. So obviously, I was there, but I put a video out actually, but there's a bunch of people who weren't there. So your first race, how did it go for your first ever event? Now, was that your first event ever, or had you ever done anything on that scale before?
Nothing personally on the scale. So I've worked for companies. I worked for a tri company for 2 years.
Okay.
Max Performance. I did their finish line coordination for 2 years.
Okay.
So I've had my hands.
Had big projects.
Yeah, I've had bigger projects. I know how they should run. This was the first one where from start to finish it was just
your neck on the line.
Yeah. So we got lucky. I'll say with the venue. Yeah. They really needed someone to come in. and we just jumped on it.
Wachusett's one of those venues that it's always baffled me that there hasn't been more stuff going on there. And I know why. They're a state-owned nature reserve, and they've got trails they can't expand because tree lines, and I mean, I get why.
The conservation side of it's crazy.
But it's such a well-placed, easy-to-get-to venue.
So easy.
Yeah.
We'll expect to be up there again with DCR. Working with the Department of Conservation and Recreation. We're hoping to do like a geocache up there and try to offer up something that hasn't been there yet.
Yep.
But as far as our race went, we ran 2 separate courses.
Mm-hmm.
We tried to hit the younger kids and or the beginners.
Yeah.
And we tried to hit that, bigger scale, a little bit longer, a little bit more challenging course. And I think that we offered enough, but not too much.
Yeah.
It was kind of a good look at what OCR really is. Some people have seen, like, the big floats and the big ta-da.
The giant inflatable.
Right.
Yeah.
But I think that we kind of hit that very bare bone OCR, what the parents show up to sometimes.
Yeah.
And parents who have done OCR could relate to it.
Yep.
And the parents who couldn't or have never done OCR really saw something new for the first time.
So I think that's critical because there's so many races that we could put on a big inflatable thing and then say, we have a kids course.
Right.
And that's not a kids course. That's a kids playtime. That's something to let them go burn their energy off, and it's needed for some races, but don't sell it as a kids course.
Right.
I mean, I know when we brought Dylan, he's 7, and it was not his first kids race, but it was the first one that he did everything.
Right.
Like he went. I think there was a cargo net that they got so heavy the kids couldn't physically get under it, so we were all having to hold it over them. But other than that,
right.
like he did everything.
That's great.
And just having a course that's dedicated for kids. Because they see the parents, they see what we run on, they see the videos, they see us coming home, and they see all the stuff. So he had a blast.
I mean, that's what kids are watching now. Kids are watching Ninja Warrior and Spartan Team Race with their parents. So for us, it's trying to give them the same thing.
Yeah.
We as a company introduced the multi-lap to the kids early, too. So that was a big, almost, we could call it a day of decision, but we will stick with that. That'll be kind of our trademark.
Good.
Is like a multi-lap from a young age. We just want them to try it and try again. Because
I think I saw a lot of kids who finished, like, mostly the older kids who understood the idea of multi-laps and pushing themselves. They were super into going around again. Dylan wasn't. He'd done one and he was happy enough with that, so he was fine. But I watched like 10 and 11-year-olds just keep going around.
We had a family leave, and I think they said between their 2 sons, one did 11 and one did 13 laps, and they got their dad to do like 6 or something like that.
That's awesome.
How
long was the older kids' course, roughly?
Just shy of a mile.
Okay, wow. So 11 and 13, holy crap, that's a lot of miles.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
We were probably right around like 0.8. We were probably 0.2 less. So.
And you had Ultimate Obstacles there, so that's mutual friend Eric, and Minnie loves going. I mean, just the empowerment kids are getting from his kids' class to the race. I mean, the kids love this stuff.
And it's just good for them to keep trying it. I'm sure that as Dylan goes more and more, the more he does. Yeah. And for us, like, even as adults, I think we missed that a little bit in our OCR passion of, like, if you don't have a facility to train at and you fail something when you're on a course somewhere,
you can't go back and
or you wait till the next time and maybe you didn't build the confidence to get back on it. We're all the same. So this was kind of a great way to start that off.
That's awesome. In fact, that's the only reason I'm going to the Super this weekend is because they have a kids course. And we'd be in trouble with the 7-year-old if we didn't let him go and run around the kids course. So what's next for PursuEVENTures? So I know you've got a tie-in with Fit Challenge in November.
Yep.
So what's happening for that? Is it going to be standalone course? Is it going to be part of how are you handling that?
Yep. So we're going to be standalone. The registration is completely separate.
Yeah.
We are offering the same thing. We're offering the multi-lap course. It's going to be completely roped off and separate.
Yeah.
I don't know if we all saw the pictures of Caden's birthday present.
Yeah.
But
the mini destroyer
will be at the kids' race, so we can all be excited for that. We're adding stuff every race. That was the nice thing, too, is we felt a lot of success and a lot of great feedback. But we want to keep giving back to the race. Just like any other local, the appreciation goes back to the people, and it makes it better every time. So you can expect from our race in July to November, we'll have at least 4 new obstacles to present to the kids, and
rec bag carries? Because that was a huge hit.
It was a hit, right?
Watching a small 7-year-old pick the 25-pound rec bag up, get about 3 steps and be like, what am I doing? Throw it away and get the little 5-pound. That was fine.
Yeah, right? I loved it. That was such a great piece. It was so kind of them to lend us those for the weekend, because that was just a kicker, I think. Again, it gives, if your parents do OCR and now you do, you get to see.
Well, every time he goes out that garage, he sees 2 rec bags at the side. He knows what they are. Right. He knows what they're for.
It's great. And another local company that really just is doing their part to like bring fitness together. So
yeah,
I love the mini bags. I was hard to give them all back.
Oh no, just 2 of them just vanished. I couldn't. No idea. So what's long term for PursuEVENTures? So you've got Fit planned. I know you told me a little bit before we started recording. So what's next? What's happening in 2017?
So 2017, the big push is for the facility, obviously. Yeah. We're going to try to finalize that in the final months of the fall. So we'll have more information about that. We're looking into a winter solstice race for the kids. Yeah. So we're fingers crossed for some snow. Yeah. And we'll get a local farm together, something local in the area. Mm-hmm. Run another OCR course for the kids.
That's awesome.
And the same thing, we're always just trying to bring people together. So other businesses, people who are doing things in the community, welcoming them in and seeing what they're doing, and then exposing people to that.
That's fantastic.
So the more we grow, the more we can do that. Yeah. We'll eventually shy away from the kid stuff for a little bit, and we want to build another kind of challenge. We want to put a spin on something like a triathlon or a road race for adults to get into something a little different.
Such as?
So for me, what I'm thinking is, we're going to take our team and we're going to decide what our 3 strengths are between our team, and we're going to collaborate that together for some kind of triathlon event. Okay. Using local facilities and maybe a multi-day push to try to expose people to see what's out there. All right. So
is the idea of PursuEVENTures to be just a fitness company, not an OCR company, not a kids company, but just overall?
It's overall getting active. I'm not even looking for the fitness word. I don't know if that really even exposes or doesn't expose us, but getting active. Because I think some people either feel like they need to be somewhere to be fit, or they need to be in search of somewhere, and we're just there for them. So if they can find the love for being active, then that's what we're going for.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Because I think it's very easy to become known as the brand that puts on the kids races, or the brand that does obstacle course racing. So getting out there is pretty cool.
It'll be an interesting year, and it's not a bad thing. At first, the first time I talked to someone about it, they were like, "Oh my gosh, Lauren, how's it feel to be the kids race person?" I'm like, I rolled my eyes like, this isn't what really.
That's just where we're starting.
That's where we're starting. We had this really great opportunity. We ran with it, and it went over great, and we'll continue to keep that piece going for everybody. But we need to get more involved with everybody, whether it's a family-based event or just adults or both. We need to find a way to do that.
That's awesome.
So that's our big goal.
That's pretty cool. Have you got any locations for your venue in mind yet? You shopping buildings?
We're shopping buildings, so we're going to see. It's just about pulling it all together. We have had a lot of satellite options where we've kind of looked into the whole... the Devons area, things like that, where we can pull in a bigger demand for people, but also other businesses that we haven't touched on, maybe they have some insight to what they want to do as well.
That's pretty cool. So what's next for you? So I believe you just came off an injury, right? I saw you in a boot earlier this year, late last year. Yeah. And now I believe you didn't do Killington.
That's where I broke my ankle, so no completion
what did you do?
There. So, just running around, Killington. Just Killington, I guess, basically. I got the best of me, so that
Are you going back?
I will be going back this year as a support team for other people.
All right.
I will not be racing myself on Killington.
Did you see what they announced as you were driving here?
No.
It might change your mind about going back to race. The rope climb under the bridge is back.
Oh, is it?
Yes. That was gone last year, and it was missed.
Gone.
But
I wouldn't have made it that far.
Oh, okay.
So that was an interesting experience. Getting injured for real is different, So.
Yeah, I've been there.
It's tough, and it's tough coming back. This has been a tough year for me because you try to pretend like you're made of stone, and it doesn't matter, right? And then
I don't think anybody listening to this show will know anything about that.
Right? We don't know what that's like.
No.
But, the finer tuning of things is that things are different afterwards.
Yeah.
So, and I've been really busy with the company. I've been really busy in other avenues. I'd like to say that I'll be at a few other races. I don't think you'll see me doing anything spectacular this year other than just a smile and running.
Just having fun.
Yeah, just having fun.
I mean, that's what it's about. I think I've seen a lot of people who did a lot of competitive racing, and then they dial it back and they start doing it for fun.
Right.
Because when you get in your own head,
right.
you lose it, I think. Or at least some people do.
That's why we started it, though. I never, even when I started racing competitively, I guess, as they call it, I never looked at it that way. Yeah. I always just liked doing it. Like, I was excited to go. There was no pressure. It was a lot of fun. I, have come a long way, and we've all worked to get where we are in OCR or in whatever community we're in. But at some point, you just have to go back to enjoying it.
So what do you think of the getting Spartan in the Olympics, the having competitive waves, heavy focus on competitive stuff, kind of this separation of worlds that seems to be happening.
Right.
You're either competitive or you're a fun runner.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that? As someone who's done both.
Right. My feeling on it is it's just false hope, I guess, in the competitive sense.
Okay.
Some of us are just realizing that it is just fun, and to put the separation between the two, it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
So I'll always run competitive, no matter what I say about it. I'll always be there on the start line. Because
you'll get to the start line, and that little thing in your brain goes, "Okay, go!"
Right.
And off you go.
So, but it doesn't mean that I feel like there needs to be such a separation of it.
Okay.
I love that whether I'm on the course with someone that can beat me or someone that's just starting out, that they're all there.
Because I think the brands in some way are causing it as well. Some of the I mean, Spartan do, Battlefrog do. Tough Mudder just announced a competitive series for this show they're doing, and I don't know. I mean, I see it obviously from the fun running side, and I think there's always, sometimes you'll see a lot of focus on the competitive, the elite, the pros, the money, the podiums, and you don't see the focus on the 300-pound couch potato who got off the couch 6 months ago and started walking to the next lamppost. Well, and now he's done a course.
Right, isn't that how this started? Isn't that and I think we lose that.
And look at some of the biggest success stories, media stories that Spartan have had. They've been of like Chris Davis and, people who did do that.
Right.
And I think there's been a missed focus on it.
I agree. I do like that, if you're a great athlete, if you work hard, you are rewarded, right? Yeah. There is something there for you. I think it's great. But the percentage is so small.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing. Like, when I'm not at races, I don't have a lot of other people who do OCR around me. I'm at a gym, I'm at a different facility, everyone's training for a different thing. And they always ask a lot of questions. They're always excited about the elites, just like everybody else is.
Yeah.
But they want to know about this, about that. But the small percentage of us compared
I think that's always humbling, is when you go to your normal gym and one guy walks in with a Spartan shirt on and you're like, oh, my people!
And they're like, they kind of look at you like they don't really want to talk to you. But then, it just sounds weird. Like, what do you say to people like, I run those competitively?
Yeah.
And maybe someone in the open wave does too. They just are competitive with themselves. They're not competitive against anyone else. So I like it for what it was started for, and that's what we are trying to show in the kids race. We don't do competitive laps. We don't do timing. We just do... The
kids go out and have fun and can keep going if they want to keep going.
And accomplish something they haven't done before, which is, I think, what OCR started as. Like, who before this was climbing 12-foot ropes over and over again?
Not me.
When's the last time an adult did a set of monkey bars? Those are the things that...
Well, and medals and bling and T-shirts and, since when do adults care about collecting a $2 piece of tin? And then, well, I've got a lot of them.
But now it's something different. You get to relive that, and that's what it's all about.
And that's what keeps you coming back.
Always. I mean, it keeps me coming back. I'm always like, I've been there, I've done that, but I'm going again.
And I'm going to keep going.
Of course I am. I think the community is great, and that's what we've spent a lot of time building.
Yes. God, yes.
Better than most, and that's what it's all about, is the connection that you've made over the years is more important than if I finish or if I don't finish the race.
Something that I heard somebody say a long time back was you start out coming to the races, but you don't keep coming back for the races. You keep coming back for the people you're running with. And certainly when I'm talking to race brands, like when a big race brand's coming in, nobody really cares about the obstacles. Nobody really cares about the race or the course. I mean, they care, but they'll probably come anyway. They're coming because their friends are coming, because they can make new friends when they get there, and because they'll get to hang out with their friends for the day, and that's what gets people coming back.
The companies would be in trouble if we went solely for the obstacles, because a lot of them haven't changed in 5 years.
Yes.
So looking at how incredible the community is a really good piece to that.
And I mean, I'm going to say Spartan for this one, because they're responsible for not changing their obstacles for so long, but they're also responsible for building probably the biggest culture around their brand, out of any of the other race brands, which, kudos to them for that, but come on, give us some more obstacles at the same time.
Yeah, I'll be curious to see if the new one makes it up here next weekend.
Yeah, but even the new one's not that new.
Well, no.
Because Bone Frog kind of had it already. And,
aren't they all just taking them from each other now?
Are you racing this weekend?
I am going to race this weekend, yeah.
Cool.
I'll race both days.
Good.
I love the Sunday feel.
Yeah.
I'm a Saturday lover, but I love the Sunday, show up, the dust is settled. And
for the first year, we're skipping the Sunday of the race, and we're going to Comic-Con in Boston.
Oh, that's me.
Which should be interesting, because my wife wants to meet John Barrowman, so that's where we're going.
That's me. Well, you have to have a reason, right?
Yeah. That's awesome. I mean, so for you, how do you... So, I mean, I know before we got on, we talked about how I don't necessarily care too much about training and stuff, but how do you stay ready for... Because obviously I follow you on Facebook, and you've recently started working out with CrossFit Wachusett, who were at PursuEVENTures. Is that what you do for your training, for you to train? Because obviously as a trainer, you don't actually get to train very often.
You don't.
I know a couple of friends way before OCR, they're both personal trainers, and they don't actually get to train very often.
Not the way you want to.
No.
You sit
you get
back
to show
and get
off
a
the same
jealous.
thing over and over again.
Right?
Yeah,
That's really exciting.
So for you, is CrossFit your thing? Is it CrossFit and running?
So CrossFit's my thing now, in the sense of that I've switched gears just a touch to try to see how I can excel there.
Yep.
So it's really its own specific training goal.
Yep.
Before this, it was just running in my own programming.
Okay.
I write a lot of programming that's individualized. So
how hard is it to write programming for yourself when it's
so
your
hard.
job to write it for other people?
So hard.
Yeah.
And you end up overtraining is what you do, because you see this massive amount of
I'm the trainer. I can
right.
do that.
Everything. Or that's cool and that's cool. I don't really know why, but I want to do that too.
That was horrible. I'll do 10 of them.
So
for time.
You end up for sure overtraining yourself.
Yeah.
I would lock on with some people and train them for marathons.
Yeah.
So that's how I get my running in.
Yeah.
And I would do a big push at the beginning of the season, and I really taper down in the summertime.
Yeah.
Giving myself some time to really just enjoy the races, and it separates them from training.
Yeah.
So this year it's been a little different. I feel stronger than ever, but at the same time I feel like it's a lot different than it was last year.
Yeah.
So
that's awesome. So I started back at CrossFit a month ago.
Yep.
And then on Monday I popped my knee doing front squats. So my wife's away, so I haven't been able to go anyway, so this is a nice rest week.
That's good. And sometimes forced rest is good.
It's forced rest.
There you go.
Forced rest. So what do you have next on your race calendar for OCR? Where will people see you after the Super this weekend?
They will see me on Killington.
Yeah.
For sure. They'll see me at Rugged Maniac both days.
Yep.
My big push is to try to get to OCR Worlds in Canada.
Yeah.
I'd like to do the short course this year. So I've got my
just the short course? You're going to go all the way to Toronto just for the short course?
Just for the short course.
Okay.
Yep. I'm going to go. I'm going to give it all for one short course.
Okay. Well, we'll be up there. We're taking the whole family, and I'm going out for the long course. But
yeah. So
right.
see, I'm not feeling that.
Course.
I'm broken.
Really?
I'm old and broken. You'll see me on the short course.
It's going to be interesting. I've talked to a few people helping build that.
Yeah.
It's going to be a fun time.
I just love them.
Yeah,
I can't say enough about that whole idea and the concept of that race. It's just...
So did you go last year?
I went last year in the boot. I didn't race.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Did I see you there?
I don't know.
Huh. Okay.
Yeah.
I've been both years. So.
So I raced my first year. That was the claim to fame, right? On the women's first place relay, our team race.
Yeah.
So that was fun. And then last year I went.
I can't believe I didn't see you
minute.
Last year, especially if you were hopping around in the boot all weekend.
In the boot all weekend.
All right.
On the freezing cold.
It was really cold.
I shouldn't even say that because we're going to Canada.
I'll never forget, I came out on the Sunday at about 7 in the morning to watch the men's elite going, and they had I don't know if they were delayed or if I got there a little early, but there were guys on the start line shirtless, and there was just frost everywhere. It was like 33 degrees, and they were shaking. And I think Hack actually said later on, did he DNF or did he just not place anywhere near where he wanted to be? So as soon as he got wet, because they actually skirted them around a bunch of the water just to avoid getting hypothermia. And they all said that the shaking they were under, the cold they were in, it was misery.
It was.
Yeah. But yeah, they were all standing there shirtless in the start line, right?
Well, that's the thing.
Because who knew it was going to be 33 degrees?
I know. That's the thing, because they make the gear for it. You know, there was a lot of like
unprepared
talk
people.
But, right, I'm like, you know better. We know better.
Yeah.
I think we might not want to think we do, but we do.
Now we're going to Canada.
I feel like it's like a wetsuit prepared.
I hope not. Oh, I really hope not.
See, short course.
Yeah, maybe I'll do the short course. That's awesome.
Yeah, and then I think November I'll be in Texas. I want to try Savage.
Yeah,
and that'll finish out this year for me.
We were tweeting to them a couple of days ago saying, "Come to New England."
Yeah, what an incredible race circuit.
Yeah.
So,
and they're doing everything right, growing slowly, complete innovation, completely new stuff every time,
and forced completion.
Yeah,
you know that's a nice push.
Go.
So I'm excited. I want to give them a shot. That was kind of.
Are you doing CMC?
I am.
Good.
Who would have thought? Yeah. Yes, I am. Thank you for reminding me.
It just occurred to me we're talking about CrossFit, and we're talking about forced completion, and who's behind the forced completion and the opposite, Garfield.
Right. I know.
And I actually sat down with dinner with him a couple of days ago. He was in Massachusetts for a short trip, so I was talking about CMC. So it's going to be exciting.
That will be like my mojo builder back.
There you go.
It's like a nice
time. I loved CMC. They were my favorite national brand by far.
I'm excited. This will be my first one.
Way underprepared this year, but that's fine.
It's all right. It's all about the fun, right?
Apparently.
Right? I'm going to sell that. It's all about the fun.
It's all about the fun.
It's all about the fun.
So we touched on this a little bit earlier, but you obviously focus a lot on local businesses. So you have some sponsors who are local sponsors. Your races have local backing, local vendors. We obviously have a big thing with Race Local. And focusing on locally owned businesses and races and brands. So why do you focus on the local stuff? What is it about supporting the local guy that's important to you? I know what it is for us, but for you, like as an individual athlete, as now a business owner, why focus on the local guys?
Because they're all you really have.
Yeah.
So for me, as an athlete, looking for support, I got it without question in this community. Yeah. This community has backed me without knowing what it was. If you asked people what OCR was, people wouldn't be able to answer that.
So the reason I ask is if you look at people who are wanting to become competitive or to travel, they're all chasing the same dozen national brands. They're all, I want to be Oral IV, Beat Elite, and it's a different group of brands every year. But I kept seeing you going out and you have the local chiropractor, really local businesses.
Yep, all local.
And because we're in the same area, sometimes their business is like, I know those guys, So
yeah, it all started with the clothing line. So we started. I have a local friend who does screen printing in his house, and he was just like, you need to do something for yourself. And it was a way for my clients and all the people I work with on a daily basis.
That's right. I've seen the hashtag Team Lauren.
Yeah, to give back. So people. It was incredible, and that probably is what kept me going for so long. Yep. Is that people wanted to be a part of it, and the $10 for a shirt was the way for them to do that. So we did that. We went out to other businesses and we tried to help promote them. And then again, it's just the chance for people to be a little bit more involved.
So why aren't more people doing it?
I don't know. I've been trying. I try. I do. We're all interconnected. All the people who do all the same things, and that's exactly what I tell them to do. Is it's all about the local community because they care. Yeah. They don't know what it is. They don't have to know what it is.
It's why we support local OCRs, because if you go to a locally owned OCR and say, you know what, that thing didn't really work, you won't see it at the next one. If you say to a national brand, that thing didn't really work, they'll say, well, we did a survey. Mm-hmm. And 85% of our survey said, So it's the reaction you'll get from chasing the national brands who are getting thousands of these people coming in versus going to your local guy and saying, I'll help you if you help me.
And that's all it's about. So for us, that's all I wanted.
It's the same parallels every time.
And I mean, what we all have to realize too is that not that it's going anywhere, but it's really fun to build it in your own community.
Yeah.
The more options we have here close to home, the better we can make them for ourselves, because we do listen to the feedback and we do make them better. And
it's grassroots. I mean, I've seen Team Lauren OCR shirts like in Gardner, like people just walking around. I'm like, I know her at the ale house.
I like see people wearing it, and I'm like, who the?
I know them now.
I know that person.
That's awesome. It's the same parallels. You've got to get the backing of people who care. And for local races, that's the local community. For the local community, that's your local business owners.
Right.
And it's the same. If you can get, I mean, how cool is it to be sponsored by a chiropractor?
Right.
One that you can go and visit.
I know. How nice is it for them to give back and you to just, I mean, how much time does it take? The 15 minutes to be there to then talk about them for 6 months.
Yeah.
But for me, I enjoy that people want to be a part of it. Yeah. And that's what's the most important part. They don't have to know what it is.
And having these people invested and backing you and supporting you is probably like the biggest confidence booster. Just that people care. Yeah.
Which then you're like,
and then you break your ankle.
Sorry, guys.
Game over.
Yeah, right? And what was nice is that no one really minded. I was kind of like, it was probably more tough on me than anything to just realize that in one quick moment that, like, okay, so gears switched.
Yeah.
But that probably was when I started the majority of the brainstorming for the company.
Yeah.
Is like, really, you have to change gears, and that slowed me down enough that you could see the bigger picture. Like, well, what else do we do? Like, how do we give back to these people? Mm-hmm. Like, all these sponsors that I have or that sponsor other people or whatever it is, like, where do they go? What do they do? How do we expose them to what we're doing? So, and that's what we decided to do.
I love it. I mean, as someone who spends an inordinate amount of time focusing on local businesses and local OCRs, to see them sponsoring a local OCR athlete as well I think that's fantastic.
Yeah.
There needs to be way more of that.
I think you don't realize what's in your community till you get out there and look. Like, there's a company right in Shirley, Bemis, that I had no idea even existed. They are a very large company that gives back to the community. They are so community-based. Yep. They have a volunteer program set up inside their facility where if we send them a message, they build volunteers out of their staff for our events.
Oh.
They, that's something that I've never even seen anybody, reach out to for a resource. Yeah. And I was lucky enough to just stumble upon it. But there are more than that in the community everywhere.
That's awesome.
So it's fun to find them.
Well, I think we're hitting some time.
All right.
So thank you for coming out.
Thanks for having me.
I think it's we'll see you at Killington, I'm sure. Yes. And I look forward to seeing what we do next.
Great.
And if you're on Facebook Live, thanks for tuning in.
Yeah.
So I'll shut those guys off.
Bye, guys.